Welcome. Good morning, Bethany. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well this morning and this Sunday. Hey, just a couple things before we kind of jump into things here. One is, and let me actually look at Mark. Hey, did our screen just go down? Do we have that still, or is that just, am I looking at something else? Okay, we're good still. Okay, we're going to keep moving. Hey, one thing is coming up tonight is our annual business meeting. And that annual business meeting is this evening. And you do not have to be a partner to attend that tonight. You can come and attend, but only our business, for the business, will be the partners that will vote on our new deacons, as well as any business that happens. But we'd love for you to come on out tonight. 4 o'clock, you can start registering. 5 o'clock is the meeting. And then that'll happen tonight. And then also our small group leader interest lunch is March 2nd and March 9th. And would love for you to come on out to that. That's going to be right after Sunday service next week and the week after. And then after we do that, have the lunch. That lunch is for anyone who's interested, current small group leaders. I'm going to be there to share just kind of our heart with small groups, where we're headed with that, what's happening. And again, would love for you to come on out to that. We'll have a free lunch right after service for you the next 2 weeks, okay? March 2nd and March 9th. And then what I want to do is we have an Easter egg hunt coming up. Look, I know there's snow still on the ground. I get it. But we have an Easter egg hunt coming up, and I want to take you back to last year. Take a look at this recap video from last year's Easter egg hunt. Bryce. All right. So, hey, here's what we're going to do. Okay? We need your help. If you remember last year, we needed 500 bags of candy. 500. Happy birthday, James. 500 bags of candy we need to fill those candy eggs so that those kids can have a sugar overload and have a good day. All right? So, what we're going to do right now is this. I'm just going to kind of go section by section. If you can bring in a bag of candy, all right, just kind of put up a number 1. If you can bring 2, put 2. If you can bring 10, put up 10, all right? How many ever bags you can bring? If you just want to put up a finger, and I'm going to kind of go section by section. Sarah, I'm going to shout them out, and we're going to hit this, all right? And what I'm asking is this. In the next few weeks, leading into March here, if you would bring in those bags, you've got about 3 weeks to do that, 4 weeks to do that. That way we can start filling those. And there'll be places to drop off in the lobby. But we would love for you to be a part of that. And it's a part of our Love Week, our launch there. So I'm going to start over with some of our students. We're going to start in the section. I'll start over here. In students, if you just want to give something for your parents, go ahead, all right? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we got 3, 1, 1, 1, 7, 3, 2, 2, 5, 1, 5, 5, 2, 2. All right, moving on. 5, 5, 3, 5, 5. Don't worry, Sarah's writing this down, everybody, if you guys are wondering. 1, 3, 3, 2, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 4, 2, 3, 50. No, I'm just teasing. 2, 3, 5, 2, 2, 5, 10, 2, 2. All right, we're moving in. We're going to hit 500, right, church? We're going to get there. 2, 2, 5, 2, 3, 2, 5, 5, 1, 1, 2, 4, 2, 2, 5, 1, 2. She's fast, people, I know it. 2, 2, 2, 3, 5, 2, 2, 5, 2, 5, 3, 2, 5, 5, 1. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. 10, 5, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 2, 2, 5, 5, 5, 5, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 5, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 2, 2, 5, 2, 2, 3, 3. All right, man, I'm not gonna be able to preach after this, I'll tell you that much. Real quick, 5, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 5, 2, 5, 5, 2, 1, 5, 5, 2. Balcony. Oh, what? I missed something? 10. I missed 10 in the back. I got you, brother. Balcony. I can't see anything. I'm done. Ralph, you got to help me. Ralph, you got to count them up there. 5. Okay, I'm going to try, balcony. 2, 10. 1, 5. 2, 2. 1, 2, 2. 3, 5, 5, 5. And we got a 2, 2, 3, maybe a 4. And a 3. So I just gave a lot of people extra bags, I know. All right. Where are we at, Sarah? We're at 4:57. So if you are with us online, if you're with us watching online, you weren't able to come today, you have to help us out. Throw it in on there. Throw that number, and I bet we're going to hit 500. Am I right? All right. Hey, thank you. Look, church, and don't worry, we're going to take, we could just keep that music going too, right? Some Rocky. Who likes the Rocky movies? Some old school, yeah. It pumps me up, so I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to go. But, hey, can I just encourage, thank you. Okay, I know something silly like that, doing the numbers and getting those bags, those things matter. Look, it's not just candy in an egg. What we're doing is, we're telling the community that we love them. We're reaching out to a community. And we're also opening doors for people that, in last year's egg, and I'll tell you, there was multiple people who committed their life to Jesus Christ, families that came to Bethany, people who've never walked in Bethany before. And walked in our doors and experienced, and again, seeds were planted. So it's more than just a piece of candy. There's more to it. And so I know you understand that. We value that. And Bethany, that was clear that we valued that. So thank you for valuing that. And it's going to be a great, great kickoff to our Love Week, which is coming. And we're going to start talking about that pretty soon. So a lot happening there. But again, don't worry. We're going to take the offering at the end. If you're wondering, what am I going to do with this? Don't worry. Just hold on to it. We'll do it at the end of service. It just didn't fit right after Rocky theme, if you know what I mean. But I'm starting a new series today called In God We Trust. And yes, we are going to be talking about money the next few weeks. And I think it's going to be really, really good. I mean that. I think this is going to be really, really good. Even if this is your first time here at Bethany, or maybe you're new to Bethany, and you're just like, oh, here we go. Came to a church, and of course, they're going to talk about money. Can I encourage you? I think this is a great, great series to start if you're new. I do, because if I'm coming to a church, I want to know what they believe about money. And money's important. I want to know what they value, how they use money, how they steward what God's given us, what the church looks like, and what the church asks us personally to do through the Word of God. So I think if you're new, hey, I can encourage you. This is a great time to be here. It's a great series to hear about what God's doing at Bethany and what He's doing personally in our lives. So I think it's going to be good. And I know I got a little biased opinion, right? But hopefully it speaks to us. In the last 2 years since I've been pastor here, I've never done a series on money yet. This will be the first time we do it. And that was intentional, but I think what's our theme this year, right? It's time. It's one of those moments where it's like, God's telling me, it's time. Let's move into it. Let's walk into this. So here's what I want to do, okay? And throughout this series, I really want us to move in our finances from fear to faith. From fear to faith. And the title today is Trusting God with Our Finances. We're going to get to Matthew 6 in just a little bit, so if you got your Bible, you can turn there. But we're going to have some fun in junior high. I am going to dismiss you right now. We haven't had junior high service in a while, but if you are in junior high and you'd like to go to our junior high service with Pastor Bryce, often right after worship and we kind of get settled in for our service, we have a junior high service in our event center. So you are more than welcome to join over there. But we're going to start with some poll questions. So get out your phone. If you got your phone, if you can, pull out your phone. All right, I'm going to pull this up here. I just have a few poll questions that I want to do. And you can join it by two ways. And some of you already are like, when you come, you don't want to do anything. Remember we talked about being an active participant. Remember that message? But no, I'm just teasing. Right here, so you can join by either going to the slido.com and then you just put those numbers in, or you can go right to that QR code and scan that, and it'll take you in and you just put those numbers in. We'll leave that up for a little bit, okay? And what we're going to do is I just have 3 poll questions. These are anonymous, so you can, when you answer these, no one knows your name, no one's seeing it. And I know some of you don't believe that, right? Like when you're talking about, buying a new refrigerator, then all of a sudden you get the ads on your phone. Who's been there? Okay, I've been there, but someone's listening. But no one's listening. We don't know who it is. So, and let's go to the first question, okay? Oh, you can still get it from the next screen. Everyone's like, I know, hold on, no. I talk quick and I move quick, okay? I apologize about that. It's okay, it's going to. Just wait, wait. It's going to start, because I just haven't started yet. Here we go, watch. Now it's active. Okay, go to the next slide. What is this lock? Technology. How old are you? I'm not too old, bro. I know. I'm in the new decade a couple weeks ago, right? Voting closed. Man. All right, voting closed. Here. Oh, open. There was just a little lock button I had to open. Okay. We're good. We're in. So here's the first question, and I see people already coming in. Okay, we're going to talk about it. The first question. Oh, go to the first one. Go to that next slide if you guys can. Okay, if you can see it, it says, and if you can't read it, I'm going to read it. What's your favorite splurge purchase? So, and yours may not be up here, but if you, out of these, what's your favorite, if you're going to splurge a little bit, is it a coffee drink? Is it a streaming, subscriptions, eating out, clothes, shoes, gadgets, electronics, vacation travel, and my last one didn't make the slide. It was hunting, fishing accessories. And we're in Lenawee County. You got to have hunting and fishing accessories. So I've learned that. So that didn't make the slide, but it's on here. So we'll see. So go ahead and enter those in if you'd like. Right now, eating out is leading right now, in case anyone's wondering. Eating out is leading. Followed closely by clothes and shoes. Streaming subscriptions? No chance. Those aren't even in the running right now. All right, so eating out took the lead. Let's go to the next one here. All right, next one. Here we go. Oh, I got to start it. Here it is. What would you do first if you received a $10,000 gift today? If you received a $10,000 gift today, some of you, I know you're thinking, all right, hey, maybe it's going to happen. $10,000 gift today. What would you do? Pay off your debt, go on vacation, invest it, give it away, or save for a big purchase? What would you do? And if you're not entering in, you can just tell the person next to you. Let us know online in the chat what you would do. You can just tell somebody what you would do. I'm going to show, you can actually, I'll show it. So now you can see the results on your phone. Look what pay off debt, 50% right now. I'm with you. Come on. Go on vacation. Give it away. We're like, it was a gift for me. Why would I give it to somebody else, right? That's at the bottom there, 3%. All right, let's go. Last one. Hey, which statement, again, this is anonymous, but which statement best describes how you feel about money right now? Because I think our feelings change, right? Seasons we're in. I'm good, no worries. It's okay, could be better. I'm stressed out and worried. I'm overwhelmed, prayers appreciated. What statement best describes how you feel about money right now? All right, we got it coming in. Right now, a lot of us, it's all over the board. It's a mix. It's about 50% said it feels it's okay, but could be better. Then the next one is good, no worries, overwhelmed, prayers appreciated, I'm stressed, and I'm worried. All right, we can turn this off. You can get out of there. We're going to get to Matthew 6 here, but again, it's just a way to kind of open up here. The reality is, okay, in God we trust. And when we read this, in God we trust is on our money. And it happened, I think, under Eisenhower in the 50s is when actually that, and even before that, they started it with a coin, but then Eisenhower kind of made it official in the 50s to put it on as this kind of, and it wasn't in what the light we think of. It was more of a, we're going to rally against the Soviet Union and kind of show some unity in who we are against communism. So that kind of gets put in there as in God we trust on our money. But the irony is this, just really for all of us, the irony is most of us in here, not many of us, but most of us, that's one of the things we struggle to trust the Lord with the most is money. We have a fear of that. It's hard, and maybe it's at different seasons, but here it is on our money, and God we trust. Trust in God first. But yet often, money becomes the source that we trust more than the Lord, and it's hard to trust God with our finances. Matthew 6 says this in verse 19. We're going to get to verse 19 here. It says, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moss and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moss and vermin do not destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This is Jesus talking, right? And when Jesus talks, it's not just words that are flippant. No, where your treasure is, there your heart, oh, thanks, brother, where your heart will be also. No one, it says in verse 24, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. You cannot trust. Maybe we can put a little leeway there, right? Trust in God, put my trust only in God, or put my trust in money. What's in God we trust. Money is often the biggest competitor for our hearts. If we were honest with ourselves. And again, I understand this too, that there are seasons, there are kind of ebbs and flows, right? And none of us in this room or watching online, we can't get away from money. It's just part of our society. It's part of our culture. It's part of our, you work, you get money, and we can pay and provide and get a house and all the things that we need and want. So it's a part of that. But money is often the biggest competitor for your heart. And again, maybe it's not in this exact moment, but I guarantee you at one point in time it was, or maybe in a season in the future, you'll find yourself there or tempted, again, where it's competing for your heart. 2/3 of the parables deal with money and possessions. 2/3 of the parables that Jesus talks about. And again, I just got to encourage you. I love talking about this. I'm confident talking about this in church. I know that there's abuse in churches and leaders all across. And I mean, we all say, well, they just want our money. Disney wants your money, friends. Okay? McDonald's wants your money. Starbucks, everybody wants your money. Right? We want our money. And again, even in church, there's abuse in it. I understand that. And at the end of the day, this is what the Lord talked about. So why did he talk about it? Because he knows how important it is. He knows that this is a competition for your and my heart. There's a competition happening with money. 2/3 of the parables deal with that. Gospels, 1 in 10 verses deal directly with money in the Gospels. 2,300 verses in the Bible deal with money. That's 5 times as many as prayer and faith. Is that crazy? It doesn't mean that prayer, this isn't value and importance based on references in Scripture. I'm not saying that, but it's just something to think about, right? That's how much the Scripture deals with it. Why? Because the Lord is after your heart. Do you understand? When Jesus came, he's competing for your heart. He wants your heart. He doesn't care about your outward possession. I mean, over and over again, outwardly, what we do and the Pharisees and this putting on a big show, and God cares about your heart. You know what else cares about your heart? Money. Money competes for our heart. So my big idea today is this, okay? I want you to walk away with is money promises security, significance, and satisfaction. But only God can truly give these things. If we want real peace in our finances, we must put our trust in Him. I'm going to say it again. Okay, and we're going to go through it. Money promises us what? It promises us security, significance, satisfaction. But only God can truly give us these things. If we want real peace in our finances, we must put our trust in Him. So the first one here today is money promises security, but it can't deliver. That's my first point. Money promises security, but it can't deliver. We often look to money as a shield from uncertainty. And there's reason for that, right? Let's build up a little savings so then when the car breaks down, we can actually afford to fix it. Money promises us this security, this idea that we can be totally secure if we have a lot of it, okay? But often, truly, only God is the one who can deliver on the promise of security. It's His promise, and I love this in Proverbs 18:11. Take out a look at this. Proverbs 18:11. It says, "The wealth of the rich is their fortified city. They imagine it a wall too high to scale." You hear that? Hey, the wealth of the rich. It's this picture of this fortified city. You ain't coming in. The wealth is my security. But I take note of the word there, imagine. Imagine. They imagine it a wall too high to climb. They imagine that this is their security, that money is what gives them security, right? It's not there. It's thought of in our head, but it's not reality, is what Scripture is telling us. Where you place your faith in times of need reveals what you believe in your ultimate source. The second thing here is money promises significance, but leaves us empty. Money promises us significance, but leaves us empty. You know, when there was a Gallup poll that came out that asked, what is rich? Okay, it asked all kinds of people, what would you consider to be rich? And you can imagine the responses. And even in a room like this, we ask them like that, because if we just put us on a linear scale of what wealth or rich we have, there'd be all of us on something. There's going to be someone that has more, someone that has less, right? That's just how it is. That's what it is. And in this Gallup poll, what went out, those that were making around, 30,000 said if 75,000 is rich. Those that were making around 75,000 said that, hey, $1 million is rich. And this is what they started to find. Those that were asking, and listen to this, they asked people who were making had $2 million of wealth built up. And do you know what the answer was for them? It wasn't like, well, I'm rich. No, it was, well, if I made $5 million, that would be rich then. Why is that? Because rich is a moving target. Just moves, right? More money just makes us more of who we already are. That's why the Lord looks at our heart. He cares about our heart. Well, I pile on the money, great. It would just make you more of who you already are. That's what money is. And rich is a moving target. How much do we really need to be happy? How much for significance? Well, just a little bit more. I just need a little bit more. And that's where I'll meet that need. Luke 12:15 says this. Then he said to them, Jesus said, watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. This is the lie that we say, and God, we trust money, right? We trust in God. But yet we look to money for our significance often. And it's a moving target. You won't find it there. And I know there's a feeling of like, well, I just could be, significant. I can just have that pleasure, that feeling, that thing. Rich, it's a target that is always moving. That's why we can't find it there. We find it in the Lord, right? A little bit more. And what does it say here? Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. It's a lie from the enemy. It's a lie that we are told. And it says, what does it say here? Right at the part of 15 says, watch out. That's a warning right there. Watch out. Why do we need to watch out? Because this is the natural tendency. If we're not intentional with trusting in the Lord with our finances, if we're not intentional, what happens is you kind of naturally float away to what? Finding our significance in possessions and things and money. That's a natural tendency for all of us in here, if we're honest. That's where we float. That's where we go towards, right? That's where we drift towards. So it says, watch out. Be ready, right? I mean, the advertisements. And they starts young. Starts young, my friends. We all know with kids. Josiah right now, my youngest, he wants this, what does he want? This computer, this like little play computer. And I don't know where he saw it at, some YouTube video probably or something, some kid's YouTube. And he's like, and we've told him, no, you're not, like we've made it clear, we're not getting that. You have plenty, we don't need that. That's not a possession we're gonna get. My man will not stop asking for the last week. He comes to my wife and whispers in her ear, I want that computer. No, right? Not happening. And it just, why? Because watch out, right? Possessions, because it's a moving target. You find yourself in that greed. Watch out, social media. Friends in our life. My friend, they buy this or they buy that boat. It's like, I want that boat. And possessions aren't the problem, friends. It's the heart that desires those that becomes the issue, right? It becomes the thing when that becomes where our significance comes from. That's where the issue starts to lie. And what you don't have is what you need, right, to find significance, what we're told. And look at what it says in Ecclesiastes 2. And I love this because Solomon, right, the wisest man, we're told, who ever lived. Solomon had it all. Money, possessions, female attention, things. He was the king. I mean, just everything he could have. We just went and watched the Lion King movie, and it was like, everything that the sun can see is yours, Simba or Mufasa, right, or whatever. That's all mine. Everything the sun could see was Solomon's. It was all Solomon's. And this is what he says, Ecclesiastes 2:3b. It says, I wanted to see what was good for people to do under the heavens during the few days of their lives. So this short span, and I know if you want to start boggling your mind, really, when we start thinking about eternity and what that actually looks like, I don't know about you, you start wrapping around like, what? It's just amazing to think about. Before time, the dimension of time even existed, that God put into place this dimension of time. It's crazy to think about. But what happens is this, right? He says, this few short years that I'm here on earth, these few short years that I'm here under the sun, I want to know, what is it under the heavens that's good for people to do? And is this not this speaks to 2025. Well, how can I enjoy today? I'm going to stream this. I'm going to go watch a movie. I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to buy this possession. Well, how can I enjoy my life? And of course, there's desires that God has that for us, that wants that. Of course. But Solomon says, let's put this to test. I want to see this. And this is what he found. Listen, in verse 10. Solomon says, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. So here's me. He's like, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. My eyes want it. It's mine. Nothing my eyes desired, I denied myself. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for all my toil. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Money, my friends, promises us significance, but true significance can only be found in Jesus. That's where our significance is found, right? And Solomon nailed it. Solomon hit it. He's like, I found, and you read the Ecclesiastes, you see it's meaningless, right? Why? Because the target moves. We got this, I want that. And that's where what Solomon says to us. And then let me go to my last point here. Money promises satisfaction, but leaves us unfulfilled. It leaves us unfulfilled. We think money can fill our deepest longings, but it's never enough. It promises satisfaction, but it always leaves us unfulfilled. Ecclesiastes 5:10 says this, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their own income. You love money, you never have enough. That's why there's a Gallup poll that says, what is rich? And everyone just keeps saying, more than what I have. More than what I have. More than what I have. 2 million, more than what I have. It's just a moving target. Because why? Whoever loves money never has enough. Never has enough. And as we begin to put and align our lives in the right way, where we find our significance, our satisfaction, our security in Jesus, now all of a sudden money is what it's supposed to be, a tool. It's just a tool. And it's a tool to build the kingdom. It's a tool to do what even God has. It's God. We're stewarding what's God's. And we'll talk about that even at later days. But John 4 tells us that Jesus, right, he mentions he's the living water who satisfies our thirst forever. Money, you get into the love of money and you will never satisfy your thirst. Just you won't. And some of us could be like, hey man, I've been there. I've done that. I've played that game. I've ran that life. Right? I've walked where money and just, you never satisfy your thirst. And then someone's like, well, if I just had enough to pay my bills, to provide and these things. But when we have a love for it, what happens is this. We find ourselves in a race that we'll never win. John 4 says, Jesus is the living water and he satisfies our thirst forever. We don't need more of what's temporary. We need more of what's eternal. We don't need more money. We need more Jesus. That's what we need. 1 Timothy 6:17 says this. It says, command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, not to put their hope in wealth. Don't put your hope in wealth. And I know we don't feel rich in this room, but when you go on a mission trip to Dominican, when you go on a mission trip to Africa and you walk around, we have everyone in this room, no matter where you're at on that scale. And you can say, I have no money. But being here in present America, we have wealth. We do. And it says, hey, what do we do with this? Be rich in good deeds. In verse 18, it's going to talk about, right? Don't be arrogant, put your wealth. Verse 17, which is so uncertain, to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Man, you want to have enjoyment in life? Find it in the Lord. Find it in the Lord. 18, command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up, just like our verse in Matthew, right? It's reiterating what Jesus said. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life. There's a lot to unpack in those verses right there, right? We're building up treasure. When we do these things, when money is not our target, but serving Jesus is, what happens is we build up, right, goods, the things, we build it up for the coming age. We build up a wealth for the coming age that's in eternity, that matters, right? When there are those around us who don't know the truth yet, right? And even for our own lives in living, because it says, may take hold of that life that is truly life in 1 Timothy. I'm going to say it again. Money promises security, significance, satisfaction, but only God can truly give us these things. And if we want real peace in our finances, we must trust in him. Okay, I want to end with this. I'm going to share a personal story. And I've shared bits and pieces of this story. I've been challenged, and just as we're putting this together, the Lord, I'm going to share it with more detail today. And I think it's important that you hear the details, because it puts it in perspective of just we're all doing our life. So I want to give numbers. I'm going to give some details that maybe are a little vulnerable, but I just think it's important. The Lord was challenging me with that. And this story takes place about 8 or 9 years ago. My wife and I were married. We had, at that point, I think a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So Caleb was 3. Lucas was 1 year old at the time. And we had our family, we were youth pastors. Allie had made a big decision. We had 2 salaries. With me at the youth pastor, she was working as a school social worker. We're doing our thing, and then when we had 2 kids, the Lord just kind of, and this is personal, of what we all decide as our own families. For us, the Lord had told us, hey, Allie, stop working. Stay at home. So that was something we thought about, we prayed about. It was a big hit. I mean, she was making a lot more than me. We were like, hey, let's do this. So we did it, right? We made that choice. So Allie resigned. We're youth pastors. At this point, I'm making a little over $40,000 as a youth pastor. And again, I know that's relative to some people are like, that's a lot of money. Others are like, what? That's it? That's how money's always going to be. But I'm sharing you details because details matter. So we were making a little over 40 after we had stepped out of that. It was just me and my wife, my 2 kids. We were still tithing. Tithing was important. We kept giving 10% of what we were making. And that was built into us of what we do. We, at the time, I joined a church plant as a youth pastor, and this was in 2007 when we joined this. It's almost 21 years ago. But at the time, we were always in building campaigns because I was the first youth pastor that they ever had, and we had about 100 people, and we renovated an old grocery store, an old Kroger. And so always throughout the whole time, we were growing. Things were happening. We were constantly in building campaigns. Constantly this opportunity, like, hey, church, God's doing great things. Do you want to build the kingdom? Do you want to invest in it? Do you want to be a part of that? So Allie and I, we were tithing. We were giving, $2,000 to a campaign that we had said as a part of that. $4,000. So you start thinking through where we were at. We were giving to missions, the little that we could. It was like $25 every week. We kind of had it as a part of what we were doing, $25. And then at the same point, right similar in the season, we had a moment where we had worked hard before we had kids to pay off all of our college debt. We had 2 incomes. We just were plowing at it, right? Eating peanut butter and jelly, getting all of our debt gone. We had this moment where there was a loan we weren't aware of that came, and we were like, okay, we didn't realize this was here still. We found out about it, and we had already thought we paid everything off. It popped up at this season, so we're like, well, we have the money that we had saved from before. We were in this tight season. Let's just pay it off. We don't want this hanging over our heads, so we got rid of that. And this is the season we're in. This is what's happened in our life. And you may think that this was all trusting. This isn't even to my trusting in God with my finances moment yet. And it's going to happen differently for every one of us in the room, every one of us watching online. There may be something that I already said. You're like, I'm trusting God with my finances just to give anything on a Sunday, or to be generous, to put my trust in God, and that I'm going to take a pay cut. I don't know if that's what the Lord's calling me to do. You can fill in the context of anything there for your own life and what the Holy Spirit's telling you. This is my story of what the Lord was doing in our life. So all of that happens, and I'm at a mission service 8 or 9 years ago at our campsite, at our campground for the Assemblies of God. We're a youth camp, and the missionary speaker's up there talking about giving to missions and things. And the Lord starts to just speak. I'm at the back of the room, and the Lord just like hit my heart, challenging me that Matt. So I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so next year I'm going to give more. $2,500. I could do this. And I'm going to work, I'm going to sell things. We're going to go home, and we're going to, and again, I'm looking at you, see what I'm talking about with what we're working with. And I'm like, okay, we could do this. And then all of a sudden there was this shift in my spirit, and the Lord was like, no, you need to give this right now. In this moment, in this off. And again, I'm sharing this not as I've never shared the details of this to the point that I want you to hear what it looks like to trust God with our finances in the moments that we walk through. I've failed many, many a times, friends. I have failed in this. This was a moment that I probably wanted to fail in again. And I felt the pressure of that. And like, what? Like, Lord, immediately I'm thinking of all the stuff we just had and where we're at. We don't have any money. I mean, like, Lord, this is it. And that little money we had was probably for like a vacation. We wanted to go take our kids on a trip, right? Do a Disney thing. And like, we're trying to save up with what little we have to go do something special for our family. And the Lord tells me, no, Matt, this is not for next year. This is for right now. This is this moment that you need to do this. So immediately, I pull a few of my pastor friends that are in that room. I just go to the side room, and I'm like, gentlemen, I need prayer right now. The Lord is asking me, and I didn't use these words, but I'm going to tell you, the Lord's asking me to trust him with my finances, right? That's what was taking place in this moment. Well, why wasn't the tithing? Why wasn't the mission giving? That was already built into who we were, right? And for some of us, that might be a big step of trusting God. For me, I hadn't had that moment yet. I'm a 30-year-old youth pastor at this point, having my first real encounter of the Lord saying, my heart is beating out of my chest, are you going to trust me with your finances? So they're praying with me. I say, okay. I make that commitment. We're doing that. Allie's not even in the room. She's pushing my 1- and 3-year-old around the camp. I go and tell my wife, I'm like, Allie, I know what's going on. This is what I feel the Lord is calling us to do. And my wife, who out of both of us, and I think this is probably for a lot of marriages, if she's going to lean more on a fear of money, she leans on that side more than I do, big time. And she's not. We all have that in different areas, right? That's a vulnerable challenge for her to say, yeah, that's a struggle sometimes. And you can be real too, right? Some of us, I struggle trusting God with my finances. But my wife's response was, which I knew then it was the Lord's, because I was expecting like, what, Matt? You know where we're at? What's happening? She said, Matt, if the Lord told you to do that, we need to obey him. So we did it. We gave everything we pretty much had left in our savings at that time and where we were at, even more than that. And from that moment, and worship team, why don't you come up and join me too? From that moment, okay, listen, all I can say is I began, as I trusted in the Lord, with something that I don't think I probably had in the past. Yeah, but Matt, you were tithing. Matt, you were giving to missions. Matt, you were giving to the kingdom, the building fund. Matt, you didn't have barely anything you were working with as a household, and look what you're doing. I know, and I was doing those things out of a love for Jesus, out of a love for what I was supposed to do, and felt like I was called. This was, for me, my first big moment, okay, are you going to trust God? Are you going to trust me or not? And we stepped into that. And I can tell you the fruit that came from that one moment. Over and over again, and we didn't tell anyone this, okay? I know I'm telling this story now. In these moments, we weren't like going around, hey, everybody, this is what we're doing. No, that was what we were working through. And a couple from our church who didn't even know us, they didn't know us. I mean, they did know us, but we weren't like friends. We would know each other a little bit, talk and say hi. We knew each other's names. They invited us over for dinner, and they told us at the dinner, and it was a nice dinner. We're like, this is great. They told us, like, hey, God told us. This is what they said, right? This is a couple months after this. God told us that we're supposed to send you on a trip to Disney World. And we're just like, what? Like, what? And we just start bawling at that table. Like, what do you mean God told you that? Like, we don't really even have a friendship. And God is like, yeah, God, the night God just woke us up saying that this is something we need to do for you. So we take that trip, and I can tell you that trip's been paid 3 times over. That trip of $20 that we thought we were saving for, a couple years after that, my parents, they gave us a gift to do that with them. 3 years ago, when I came in, Pastor Brian, as he was transitioning, they went and moved to Florida. They gave us that gift again. Like 3 times over, that's being paid for. And more than that, what that moment did in me, my friends, is it built this confidence in what I was talking about in the Word. This is what faith does. When we talk about stepping out in faith, it's this cycle that as you step out in faith and watch God provide, it builds a confidence in like, okay, I could do this again. God's done it in the past. He's going to do it again. Why wouldn't he provide in the future? Things don't look good right now at all, but I'm going to trust because I know that he is faithful. It builds his confidence. And what started happening was this. I went back to my youth group as a youth pastor, and our church at this point, we had given maybe $2,000 our youth group in a whole year to missions. So I start challenging them, like, guys, we got to do more. Look what the Lord's doing. And instead of me having this moment at 30 years old, I want my 15-year-old student in my youth group to have that moment at 15. Because if they can have this God-trusting moment at 15 years old, what will that do for them at 15? And 16 and 18. And like our mission at Bethany with our students is to give them a lasting faith, right? So I come back, and it went from $2,000 a year to one offering that we made an announcement for 3 weeks. And just one offering, we gave $17,000. Students in one offering. One moment, one night. That built from there, built an excitement in our church. People, adults were here like, what's going on? What's happening? Momentum. became an excitement to give. This is what Corinthians tells us happens, right? Paul's like, hey, you know what happened when you give generously? It builds an excitement for others. And mission starts happening. And it led me to a moment. And even to where these kids who gave $17,000, there was two moments that happened, and two stories I remember telling about. One was a kid who gave his money for camp, all the money he had raised to go to camp, gave it in that offering. And what happened was someone didn't even know the story, but they came up to him and said again, in one of these moments, Lord, tell me I need to pay for your camp. That happened. You know what happened to another kid who gave all his money? He went home and got his tires slashed that night. And it was like this moment of like, wait, I thought the Lord's supposed to bless us when we do this, when we trust in him. But it was a reminder of this. It's not about the overflow of his blessing and Disney. These are things that the Lord does, but it's about being obedient and letting God have the results. And you know what? As much as he would have liked to probably get some money back to fix it, his story of slashing tires, that spoke to people more than probably the money of the kid who had camp, right? Because we've been there, done that. And then this moment that took place in me as a youth pastor, it led me to a place where I moved into a role at the district office, being the youth director over the state. And I can tell you, if I did not have this moment, I would have never stepped into that role. Because how am I going to, part of that role as the youth director was to go around the state, what? With confidence saying, give to missions. We're changing the world with missions. How could I have done that without ever having a moment in my life of trusting in God with my finances, right? So I go around the state, and we end up hitting a record back in, I don't know what year it was now, maybe 2019, 20, somewhere in there. You know, over $1 million our students gave in a year in Michigan. Built me for that, right? The Lord's doing that. That led me there. And you know what led me next? So now, as I'm traveling to all these churches, doing all this stuff throughout the district, I would not have been prepared to come and step into this role as lead pastor if that hadn't happened. If I had never gone and moved into that role as DYD, I'm a part of my church at The Rock, which is a church plant. I was just going to stay there forever, probably as associates and eventually lead pastor there. But God works in our steps of faith to journeys that we could never imagine. And I would not be here today as your pastor at Bethany if I did not, in that one moment, and I'm 100% positive of this, my friends. And like I said, I've failed many times, okay? I have failed. But in that moment, if I would not have trusted God with my finances, I would not be here as your pastor today. I just wouldn't. That would not have been the journey that was taken, right? But as we take those steps, God leads us. God leads us. And I could go over and over again about the more that just has come from that. But more than anything, listen to this. The Disney trip, I don't mean to discredit that kind of stuff or where we were at, tight in money and providing. That stuff's great. But more than anything that I'm so thankful for is the change that's happened in my heart. And I say this humbly because I don't want a Job moment, believe me. But at the end of the day, if we, for some experience, had this Job moment, wherever we lost all of our finances, lost our house, I believe in confidence that I could stand and still say, I trust in you, God. Why? We have a family, man. We have brothers and sisters in Christ. We're Bethany. It's our church. I'm confident in that. And I stand on that. That's what I'm thankful for. In Mark chapter 10, I'm closed. Don't worry, okay? Thanks for bearing with me. But I tell you that again, just be vulnerable and be real. Mark chapter 10, there's this beautiful story where a rich man comes to Jesus. And he asks Jesus, I want to go to heaven. What do I got to do? What does that look like? And the rich man begins to say, look at all the stuff I've done. I obey my parents. I follow the commandments. I do everything right. I go to worship. I go to church on Sunday. I've done all this. And in Mark 10, there's this part where Jesus looks at the man, and it says Jesus looked at him, and he loved him. After the man gave all these things that he's doing, right? Jesus looks at him, and he loves him. Why is that? Because Jesus meets us right where we're at. Every one of us in this room, every one of us watching online, you can trust God with your finances because Jesus is going to meet you right where you're at. He's going to meet you right where you're at. He met this man right there. And he said, look, he looked at him and he loved him. And then what did he say after that? He said, because he knew what was competing for that man's heart, like we mentioned earlier, and he said, hey, if you want to follow me, you need to give up all your possessions and come follow me. And then the sad part was the man went away sad, right? Why? Because he had great wealth. Church, can I encourage you? The Lord, he's going to ask all of us different things. My story, that's going to be my story. But what is God doing in your life right now? Where is God asking you to trust him financially? And that was a moment, but again, I'm challenged again. I'm tempted. There's always a temptation that we battle to say, I'm going to go back to just trusting in the cash, trusting in my card, trusting right in Bitcoin, whatever you have, trusting in my stock market. I'm going to trust in this. I'm going to trust in God. I'm going to trust in God for my security, for my significance, right? For my satisfaction. That's where I'm going to trust in God. Here's what we're going to do throughout this series. Throughout this series, on the back of your bulletin, you'll see there's just like a little QR code with the little next steps. I just encourage you, we're a church that believes in taking a next step. And that looks different for all of us, what that means, what that looks like. Some of you may just, your next step may to be, just like I just shared my story, you have a story of trusting God that needs to be shared, that needs to be talked about. Maybe you need to go on, put that QR code and share that on there. Maybe you need prayer to trust in the Lord. Say, Lord, like you were one of those that I'm overwhelmed and I need prayer right now. Let us know. Maybe you want to meet with the pastor to talk. Maybe you want information on budgeting better, on setting up a budget. You want to meet with a financial advisor here at church, someone who's a safe person to meet with. All of that. Go on that QR code, scan that, and just click on what the next step is you want, and we'll help connect you to that. This will be something I talk about all throughout this series, so you can constantly go back to that. One of the things we're going to do right now is our offering at the end of service. So our ushers can get ready for that. But while we're doing our offering, here's two things. One reason why at the end was this. Throughout this series, we're going to have a goal of $25,000 given to Kingdom Builders. And Kingdom Builders are above and beyond, and that's going to help cover and push ahead some of our missionary stuff, as well as Love Week, and just kind of move into what God has for us in the kingdom. It's money, all that goes out. Over the next few weeks, and even the business, we'll talk more about how our church finances are structured, and I want to be vulnerable with that and let you know, be open so you understand what we're doing, where we're at, what's happening. That'll be discussed. But over the next 4 weeks, each offering we take, we'll keep kind of figuring out where we're at with Kingdom Builders. You can always select that online. You can always put that on your envelope, put it in cash, but we're just trying to get to that goal to meet and reach our community. So that's going to be something we available. And here's what I want you to think about. Ushers, come on forward. While we worship to this song, I want you to sit and reflect as we close. And I want you to think identify one area of financial fear. It might be debt, it might be job insecurity, big upcoming expense. I don't know what it is in your life. But identify one area of financial fear. And while we sing, while we worship, will you just let the Lord kind of work on your heart on that? And maybe, Lord, what are you wanting me to do? How can I step into the things that you have for me? And so I'm going to pray for our offering. We'll worship. I'll come back up and close at the end of that as we reflect on what the Lord is working on in our hearts. Lord, I thank you so much for our church, for our family. I thank you so much for your word, Lord, that tells us we can trust in you. And in a world that, tries to get us to compete for our heart, to trust in other things, we once again commit to that, Lord, that we're going to trust in you for our satisfaction, our significance, our security. So, Lord, as we process and reflect on this throughout offering time, Lord, will you just speak to us on what you're doing and calling us as followers of you to do? We ask this in your name. Amen. I'll close in a minute.